Now for more, ABC News 24 political editor Lyndal Curtis joins us now from Canberra. Lyndal, good morning. Just how much danger is the Prime Minister in?
Well, I think there's some danger. In some senses, Michael, it's not surprising that there is some mutterings about Julia Gillard's leadership. The government, if you look at the opinion polls, has been in trouble for some months. Its primary vote is below 30%. It's been hovering in the 20s for quite some time. So the government's been under pressure for a long time, and there do seem from the reports to be some mutterings about Julia Gillard's leadership. Certainly publicly, though, senior figures in the party are standing by their leader. One of those is Cabinet Minister Tony Burke, who spoke to Channel 7's Sunrise this morning, expressing his confidence in the Prime Minister.
No. Next election's 2 years away. When it comes, the important thing is that we've been governing and governing well. We've got a challenge at the moment, which was not seen coming as a result of this High Court decision. We've got to focus on making sure that we get the response to that right.
Tony Burke there, and equally, Lyndal, it was quite amusing to read Bill Shorten leaping into print this morning to declare his love and affection for the Prime Minister.
Yes, Michael, it may not be entirely surprising that he does that, because he was one of those who plotted to get rid of Kevin Rudd and install Julia Gillard. But certainly Bill Shorten wrote in glowing terms this morning about Julia Gillard's leadership. Craig Emerson, another Cabinet Minister, has also said this morning that there's unswerving support for Julia Gillard. And Joel Fitzgibbon, who was a minister in the Rudd Cabinet and then dumped as Defence Minister, he's now the Chief Government Whip, also has said this morning that the headlines are misleading, especially about Julia Gillard lacking in authority. But certainly, Michael, this chatter is never helpful for a Prime Minister, especially at a time when the government is under so much pressure. Julia Gillard came to the Prime Ministership saying she wanted to solve three problems. One was the mining tax, one was the price on carbon, one was asylum seekers. Now, government MPs may have thought a month or so ago that they were beginning to see the start of a comeback, the start of rebuilding. The carbon tax looks like it will go through the Parliament, but the government certainly hasn't won the public argument on that. The asylum seeker solution, the government was optimistic about that this would be the way forward. Now the High Court struck that down, so at least on two of the things the Prime Minister wanted to solve, the public case for the carbon price hasn't yet been won, although it will get through the Parliament, all things being equal. Asylum seekers is proving a much more difficult prospect for the government, and it does look like the government has no answers yet to what it's going to do.
And I suppose front and centre of any plotter's mind, Lyndal, is the fact that the agreement the Prime Minister has signed with the independents is very much a personal one. If she goes, so too goes the government.
That may well be the case, although the independents would have to then decide to throw their support behind Tony Abbott, and they've shown no signs that they would be willing to do that. But you're right, the agreement was a personal one between the Prime Minister and the independents, and they lauded her negotiation abilities through that 17-day period after the last election, her ability to negotiate, to win them over. So it would put some question over that. The other thing that is throwing some doubt over the government is Andrew Wilkie's anti-pokies push, and that's legislation that will be coming into Parliament next year. He set the bar pretty high for that. He wants that legislation not only supported by the government, he wants to get that through, and there's no clear sign yet that that will happen. He has made threats about withdrawing his support from the government if it doesn't go through, but we actually don't know what that would mean yet, whether he would throw his support behind an Abbott government or you know what the shape of that would be. So there are many hurdles ahead for this government, and I think the chatter we've seen this morning in the newspapers is a sign of just how real the pressure is, not only on the government but Julia Gillard in particular.
Yeah, gee, who'd want to be Prime Minister at the moment? And just looking at the asylum seeker issue, watching Julia Gillard's press conference in Brisbane yesterday, it occurred to me that she was very much laying the groundwork for the possible ditching of any offshore processing if that detailed legal advice, when she does get it, the written advice, does effectively rule out Nauru and Manus Island.
Yes, opinions on what the High Court decision means for alternative offshore processing centres is mixed. The opposition is adamant that it doesn't rule Nauru out of the options. There are questions about what it does mean for processing anywhere else, and certainly the initial legal advice to the government, oral advice, is that there may be some problems for it. Onshore processing only is one option from the government. There's certainly some talk in the caucus, particularly from the left, that is what they want. They want to use this effectively as a circuit breaker to again make the case that asylum seekers are not a huge problem, that it has been run to such a big extent because it is a political problem, but not actually a huge problem, and they want onshore processing. There are, however, others in the caucus who've said to me that the government should effectively adopt the Howard solution of Nauru and temporary protection visas. Now, the Prime Minister and the Immigration Minister have not taken anything off the table. They are all options. It will depend on what the legal advice is the government gets. If they move to onshore processing only, they may win some support from particularly the left in the caucus. It will be a much harder public case to run, given that while in opposition they attack the Howard government solution, they've been moving closer and closer back to it in government.
Lyndal Curtis, thanks for the analysis this morning. Thank you.
Thank you.